I saw the Odyssey for a second time, and here are my second thoughts. We did our Out of the Theater review this week, and I was very mixed. There were things that I happened to love, the horror aspects, such as the Cyclops scene, the scene where Circe turns Odysseus's crew into pigs. There was some satisfying action towards the end, but the movie dragged. The modern language, I think, basically diminished the events in the film. I think that some of the castings were distracting. And having seen it a second time, my opinion is solidified. This, I would describe this as kind of mid-Nolan. And if forced to give a number rating, I'd give it a 5.5 or 6. 5 to 6 in that range for a couple reasons. What did I notice on the second viewing? A couple things. So many of the great elements of the original story were not included. One of the things about Odysseus, and the biggest thing, is the character of Odysseus himself and Matt Damon's portrayal. For example, in the book, Odysseus is described as cunning. He's clever. He can get out of situations. He's smart. And in this, he kind of fumbles through things and situations. With the Cyclops, one of the things that Odysseus does is the Cyclops asks who is there, and Odysseus describes, "I am nobody." And then when the Cyclops asks for help from other giants, they ask him, "Well, who's in there with you?" "Nobody." It's a very clever way to make other giants on that island go away. And then he stupidly, in his arrogance and filled with hubris, Odysseus gives his real name, which then, of course, creates the curse from Poseidon, which derails them from their journey. It's really his rejection of the gods and arrogance and hubris, along with cunning and being clever, that gets him out of situations. And those things are missing from it until the very end, when we see how Odysseus deals with the suitors. And I felt the character of Odysseus was not there for me. It was Matt Damon. He didn't even find his groove until the very end of the film. Why was Odysseus such a great warrior? We didn't see enough of that. The second thing is, the movie's rated R. Why? Can I tell you why? Because the violence is bloodless. There's implied chopping heads, but we don't see it. With that kind of sword fighting and spears, you would think there would be arms being chopped off, legs gutting. The reason this movie is rated R is because the F word, fuck, is said 3 times that I remember, might be 4 times. Why is this rated R? He could have cut the word fuck, and the word fuck is not even necessary. You wouldn't miss it if it wasn't there. What I did miss is brutal violence. This is a brutally violent time. It would have made the events and the appreciation for life and coming home all the more meaningful if he had survived this brutal, horrible, bloody war. It wasn't any of that. This movie was made, I think, in many ways. Some have theorized that the use of modern language and adding the stars and the modernization of the tale is so that this can be shown to kids in school. Like, they have educational versions of movies that are shown in school, and that Nolan's true reason for giving it this modern take is to reintroduce the Odyssey into schools, which from my understanding, this book is not even taught as part of the required curriculum in many schools now. I read it growing up, of course, a scholastic version, And that may be the intent. In addition, the light commentary, it's there if you're looking for it. It's barely noticeable about society's breakdown because of fatherless children. The suitors are mostly the sons of the soldiers who left Ithaca to go off to war. And now they've been brought up without dads and they have no values. They have no virtues. And they need to bring a civilized society back. That's what Odysseus does in the end by dispensing with the suitors in a way that does elicit cheers from the audience. You know, that theme is there if you're really looking for it. It's kind of in a way, like he Trojan horse, Nick Nolan Trojan horsed this theme into the film about fatherless children and what they become as adults. They become as adults people that lack values. And Odysseus is return, but it's not. It's there if you're looking for it. It's not as strongly stated as I'm out loud saying it now. In the end, it's mixed bag for me. Are there parts that are epic? It's on the cusp of it, but I felt that the desaturated color really is a turnoff. I found it like disappointing because all movies seem to look like this now. The stars are distracting, and my opinion is, while I don't agree with Alan that he thought it was just awful and boring, I do think there are parts that are, and the movie is of 5.5 for me. Alan, any second thoughts at all?
Yeah, I have second thoughts. I have one question for you though: is do you recommend the Odyssey?
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah,
I mean, I will say this, because it's a cultural event. I mean, it's almost like if you haven't seen the Odyssey, you would be shamed for not having seen it. And I'll say, if you want to be part of the discussion, you need to see the Odyssey. Would I go see this movie again because of my own volition? The answer is no. Make of that what you will. You make your own choice.
I wanna quote you just what you said. If you have not seen the Odyssey, you will have been shamed for not seeing the Odyssey. I have seen the Odyssey, and I am being shamed for having seen the Odyssey.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, there's, my review pretty much says it all. I'll add this. I just felt that this is such a grand fumble in terms of filmmaking. From the opening moments. Oh, okay. Let me back up and say that I did read the Odyssey in elementary school. The problem is I'm severely dyslexic, and I basically faked my way through the Odyssey without ever having read the Odyssey. And that's how I survived elementary, junior high, and high school. Is when I couldn't read something, I just figured it out and passed the class. And that's what happened to Odyssey. So I go in not knowing a lot about the Odyssey. I know the events that occur in the Odyssey, but I don't know the Odyssey. And so watching this, I felt like having seen the Odyssey and having listened to people talk about the Odyssey, its themes, its stories, I thought to myself, whatever you saw, I didn't see it. Or whatever you saw, I think you saw it because you know the story. And I'm saying that people who don't know the Odyssey, for example, Zendaya as Athena, I don't understand the importance of Athena. To me, she appeared like a ghost throughout all this. And then at the very end, there's a twist that involves Zendaya. And I'm like, so what is Athena then? And I get what that moment was meant to be, but it's like, I have zero context because she really doesn't do much throughout the movie. She just kind of appears as someone for Odysseus to talk to. And then the basically the toxic masculinity ending that she's a part of was just, and my point there is I haven't read the book. I think people who don't know the book are not going to understand the characters because I believe there's an assumption that you have to know who these characters are before you go into the movie, such as Calypso, such as Cersei. Like Calypso, I just thought she was a girl or a woman who was kind of into Odysseus, as opposed to what the story that I ultimately found out was who she was. And I think that these complaints are complaints of a bigger problem. Watching this movie, the sense that I got was Christopher Nolan shot 8 hours worth of this movie and had to cram it down into 3 hours. And that's why the editing is so awful, because the editing feels like it's all highlights. Like anything you can cut that wasn't important or pertinent to the moment, he cut it. He cut it. And so that's why things move quickly. That's why you're jumping from one scene to the next. That's why the battle with the Cyclops feels like a highlight reel as opposed to an actual battle with the Cyclops. The whole whirlpool thing, there's no tension and no danger in it because it was cut down. You know, you don't get the sense of danger. All you know is there's a whirlpool there. They're in a ship. Better avoid it. And then you have the attack that occurs afterwards that people are saying is great. No, I mean, I've seen Ray Harryhausen do that a whole lot better than what I saw there. It just felt like CG slop at that moment. And so I don't know. For someone who has never read the Odyssey, I don't, I'm not going to say I speak for everyone, but I just can't imagine you understanding this movie and feeling the depth. Look, and all this to say finally is that, when I walked out of Lord of the Rings, there was this sense of weight. There was this sense of inspiration. There's also the sense that I need to be a better person. When I walked out of the Odyssey, I got none of that. All I got was what I felt like was a telling of a story that I've heard before from other people. But what was the message? I mean, father wants to go home. Kid wants his dad back. I mean, I've seen that. I don't know that I felt the weight of that.
Well, the thing is, Nolan put his own message in the movie that wasn't in, at least my recollection. It wasn't in my recollection of the Odyssey that I read.
Right. But to your point, it just felt so convoluted that I didn't even get Nolan's message. But honestly, the message that I got was that ending moment with Athena, that whole flashback about the Trojan War. To me, I'm like, I've gone through 3 hours. I see this message and it's like, so that's what this movie is about, is about toxic masculinity. It's just, I have seen Christopher Nolan movies. I have liked a lot of them. I have been meh and passive about others. To me, this is profoundly the most awful movie he's made.
Well, I disagree. It's, as I said, it's not a disaster, but it's the thing is this. What's weird is you brought up Lord of the Rings. I never read Lord of the Rings. I love those movies.
Yeah.
I've read the Odyssey, and what bothers me about the Odyssey is the fact that Nolan left out some of the best parts. And truthfully, if you were going to make an accurate Odyssey, this is probably best told as a TV miniseries. Or,
I feel like he could make a TV miniseries.
You could easily. I mean, they have, right? So
yeah, I'm sure there is an 8-hour cut that you can make a TV series out of.
You could do it. But all I'm saying is, does this work as a movie? Not entirely for me. And while there are parts that I loved, mostly on the spectacle scale, the things that are the flaws just make it a mid-movie for me. I'm not gonna not recommend it to people. Just know that going in, opinions are mixed. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, final thoughts
before we go to comments.
Yeah, my final thought about this is, what was the message? What was I supposed to walk away with, and why did I have to sit through a 3-hour epic to get that message? Because maybe I got the message, but it definitely wasn't. It had no weight. Needed to see this movie.
Well, you're forgetting the biggest message, that it is Chris Nolan's, although it's dropped, this graphic is slightly out of date.
Yeah.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually 96.
Yeah, it's plummeted to 96%.
It's plummeted. Yeah. No, it's not going to go much down. And the audience score is around the same.
It is the same, yeah.
I don't see it drop. It may drop by a percentage or two. I mean, a little bit, but it's his highest rated film with both audiences and critics. And here's all of his movies actually in a chart here. Tenet being at the lowest at 73%. Interstellar. I actually quite like that movie. It's aged well. I don't know that the Odyssey will age well, in my opinion.